What's going on, y'all? This is XIII, and a very, very happy New Year's to everyone around the world. Congratulations, we survived 2021. 2021 was definitely a roller coaster for me, as I'm sure it was for a lot of people out there. For me personally, I finished residency, and then I took some time off because I was definitely burned out. And then I started a crazy new job, which has been stressful to say the least. But that's not what today's video is about. At the beginning of the year, many people create a New Year's resolution, right? I'm sure we all have our goals that we want to achieve for, this new year. And around this time last year, I was starting my motorcycling journey. So I figured there have to be people that are considering starting their own motorcycling journey right now. Kind of as like part of a New Year's resolution, whatever it may be. So, after getting your license, we all have a decision to make, right? Do I buy a used bike or do I buy a new one? This is my perspective on the matter, aka a beginner rider's perspective. So let's start with a used bike. So used bikes, you can find them on Cycle Trader, Craigslist, whatever your local market is. You can use Facebook Marketplace. They're sold by, the owner. So generally, used bikes are cheaper. You don't have to worry about dropping it. We all do. Trust me on this one. I thought I would not drop my bike, but I did. And then you also don't have to deal with haggling with the dealer. And trust me, if you're trying to buy a 300cc, the dealer does not budge on 300cc bikes. Trust me. But then, what are the cons to it, right? Like, why? If it's cheaper, price-wise, cost basis, that's what a lot of people kind of base their decision off of, right? What's that initial cost? Because, let's be honest, that's the biggest barrier to entry. And then, cons-wise, you have to test ride the bike, right? And then as a new rider, you may not have the confidence or the ability to test ride someone else's motorcycle. So just because when you test ride the bike, there's a chance you may damage the bike accidentally, and then you have to buy it. There's no other choice, right? You're kind of stuck. If you don't test ride the bike, there's a chance you may miss out on not knowing if there's something wrong with the bike. There's some, hidden damage that you're not aware of. And then it's not even about riding the bike too. It's like inspecting it as well. Are you confident in your ability to do that? Do you even know what you're looking for? So these things, however, you can look into it. You could research what to look out for when buying a used bike. You could bring a friend with you to help kind of test ride the bike, check out the bike for you, kind of go down that route. Okay, you could always manage these things. What you won't be able to manage is, say, inventory in a used marketplace. Say you want a specific bike, specific colorway, you want specific accessories attached to them. You don't really have much freedom there, because whatever the person's selling in the used marketplaces is all that there is. It is what it is. You get what you get. There's no like, hey, can I add this accessory onto it? Hey, I want this color. Whatever bike that they're selling is what you're gonna get. So there's definitely a lack of freedom or flexibility in that department. But that's to be expected, right? It's the used marketplace. Now kind of moving on to new bikes. New bikes, obviously, they're brand new. You know the history of it, or the lack of in this case, I guess. You don't have to deal with potential hidden damages. You can get exactly the bike you want. Color, accessories, whatever. If the manufacturer provides it, you can get it. Oftentimes, you can even get the dealer to deliver the bike to you, depending on how far they are from your house. And then although you should always kind of sit on the bike before buying, just to kind of test out the ergonomics, see if they're for you, you may not need to test ride it, especially if you have zero experience. Um, just because if you have zero experience, what are you going to compare it to when you are test riding it? You know, like think about that. Like when you're test riding a bike, you always compare it to your previous experiences, things you like, things you dislike from your previous experiences, and you're basically just trying to maximize what you do like in your purchase, in your bike, right? Don't really have that experience to back you up when you're buying your first bike. And then cons of buying a new bike, that's dealer fees. You know, you got the freight fees, dealership markups on that regard. Every dealer charges different fees, so you could always kind of shop around for that. But it is what it is. There's no going around it. And then there's the other concern. When you buy a brand new motorcycle, or even a car, any vehicle, there's that instant depreciation of the bike when you ride it off the lot. There's no avoiding it. And then the pain of dropping it for the first time is so much worse with the brand new bike. So, you know, these are kind of pros and cons of buying used, buying new. So coming back to the main question, which one should you buy? If you search the interwebs, the vast majority of the folks out there would recommend that you buy a used bike. In fact, that would actually be my recommendation too. Is that what I did though? Nah. So when I was doing my research, you know, I first decided what engine size I wanted. That's a discussion for another, you know, topic, video, whatever it may be, but I decided that I was going to go the 300cc route. Wanted a 300cc bike, so that's what I was set on. When I looked at the used marketplace, sure, I was looking for bikes that I would want to buy, but what I noticed was that 300cc bikes on the used market did not lose their value compared to the MSRP, the sticker price that you see at the dealers, or even on the manufacturer's website, what they advertise it, that MSRP price, and the used price of these bikes, not much different at all. You'll definitely see a bigger difference between MSRP and say like higher CC bikes like 600 plus, but for the 300cc market, that was not the case. And then moving on to the next, I was a straight up noob. So my confidence in my riding skills, that was not present. So I did not want to test ride and risk dropping or damaging the bike if I went to buy a used bike and, you know, testing out someone else's baby. I did not have the confidence or ability to do that. And I accepted that, and not everyone, you know, would be in the same shoes as I am in terms of experience, but that was my case. And then now you may be thinking, well, you can just get your friends to do, like I mentioned earlier, get your friends that have riding experience to check out the bike for you, test ride the bike for you, and kind of help you out with that kind of stuff. So I did have friends who did ride, but they lived about an hour away from this dealer. And my scheduled residency was so busy that it was nearly impossible to coordinate a time that would work for me, my friends, and the dealer. You got to keep in mind that I was working 6 to 7 days per week. So coordinating a time that worked for everybody was nearly impossible. And the dealer that I bought my MT-03 from was, you know, able to deliver, so that was a huge plus for me. So overall, what can we really say, right? Buying new, buying used, definitely just depends on everyone's individual situation. Do you have the confidence in your ability to inspect and test ride a bike? Go used. Do you have a friend that could do that for you instead? Go used. Don't have the above? Go new. But if you are buying a bike that's like more than 300cc, then in that case I would probably consider buying used, if possible. The reason I say that is, like I mentioned, if you're buying bikes greater than 300cc, they tend to take a bigger depreciation hit when you buy new, and it is what it is. There's no avoiding that aspect. And I think part of that is just because there's a higher barrier to entry skill-wise for higher cc bikes, right? Like you need the skills, and you don't see as many people going into that market directly, because majority of the people, they'll buy a smaller bike. That's when they find out whether motorcycling is for them or not, and then majority of the people probably stop and don't move up. So less people to buy the higher cc bikes. But yeah. But anyways, what are your thoughts? Was your first bike new or used? Would be interesting to hear other people's perspectives on this. I'm sure this is not a much debated topic, but everyone has different situations, different scenarios, and you really can't go wrong. The biggest thing is that you purchase your first bike, hop on the saddle, get the experience, and go from there, right? Pros and cons exist for everything. Just find what works best for your specific situations. All right, folks. Well, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.